Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. A story of two fates bound together, intertwined, and they'll disappear as this ship No. Sorry, I'm reading from the book. These two fates intertwined. But what would happen if it was Dio that actually lost? Not in the way that he did, but I mean, what if Jonathan had actually killed Dio right then and there? Well, that would be a huge jump. That would completely change the fate of all of Jojo, since the majority of the stuff that happens in it is because of Dio, honestly. But let's take it step by step to see how it would play out. Well, there's two times where Dio could have died, and those two times have two completely different outcomes. But let's have it to where, what if Jonathan had won at the castle? First thing you have is that Irina and Jonathan successfully leave together. Irina would still be pregnant with George, so then George is raised with both of his parents. Now that's great. George would have been raised really well and would probably end up being a very efficient Hamon user. With how much Hamon helped Jonathan, specifically, I highly doubt that he'd drop using it, especially since it carries on the spirit of Zeppeli. Speaking of Zeppeli, the Hamon monks that trained Zeppeli, or the Speedwagon Foundation, would actually find and take care of the Zeppeli family, so there would be a possibility that George Joestar and Mario Zeppeli become training partners and almost recreate the Battle Tendency group, which would be pretty good to think about because Joseph Joestar wouldn't be who you think he would be. Caesar would be fine for the most part because he's actually being raised by a family with money provided by the Speedwagon Foundation, but Joseph would be a lot different because 1, he doesn't have the same mom anymore, and 2, he would have both parents, so I guess he wouldn't be as angry or about life as much as he was originally. He'd have a different personality and be raised as a gentleman since he doesn't only have Irina and Speedwagon now. He has Irina, Jonathan, George, George's new wife, because Lisa would still be raised by her actual parents because they wouldn't have died on the boat. So Mario originally found the Pillarmen, so it wouldn't be only him now. You would have old Jonathan, but he would look pretty good because of Hamon, Straightso, Mario, George, Caesar, and new Joseph after a while. If I was to say how exactly would people get their training and how it would all work beforehand, you would have Mario and the Speedwagon Foundation looking for information on the masks, Jonathan, George, and Straightso raising and training a bunch of Hamon users, and Joseph and Caesar training under them, with also being homeschooled possibly by Irina and Caesar's mom. So they would end up confronting the Pillarmen with both the Speedwagon Foundation and a bunch of the Hamon users that they had trained. With a bunch of users at the caliber of Lisa was at, they would probably kill one of the Pillarmen right then and there, with only a possibility of like 2 Hamon people dying. I feel that it would be AC/DC dying there, and then Cars and Wamu escape. Either that or Cars and Wamu actually died there also. Saying that they do escape though, you get Battle Tendency with a totally different spin on it. Jonathan would probably end up dying though in the fights with the Pillarmen, so you would end up having George, Mario, Caesar, and Joseph avenging him. The Pillarmen for sure would be dead by then, and then boom, part 2 over. Part 3 is iffy because you would have all the Hamon users with Hermit Purple and no stand users really with that have intention of doing anything. Without the plot driving specifically on Dio, we don't really have anything. We also wouldn't have Jotaro because we wouldn't have Holly, because Joseph would have never found Suzy Q, because there's no Lisa. If Joseph had a kid or kids, the Joestar name would still be passing through, if it's not a daughter though. Also with no Josuke, because Joseph would be raised in a way differently, and there'd also be no point to go to Japan because there's no Holly living in Japan to begin with. So Stardust Crusaders and Diamond is Unbreakable. Well, you would actually get Diamond is Unbreakable, but instead it's just with a bunch of Hamon users and Hermit Purple, all that still. The progression of stands would be pretty set back for the Joestars. You would just have iterations of Hermit Purple because of Hamon and no stands like Star Platinum or Crazy Diamond whatsoever. The thing is with that, it wouldn't be that hard to find Kira because of how Hermit Purple is used. So I'm pretty sure Kira would have been dealt with pretty easy since it would just be a group of people versus him only. Matter of fact, you would have one or a few Hamon users that project photos of stuff that's going on in the world possibly, because that's the same way how Angela was found, through Joseph, old Joseph, but that's a possibility. If Hamon users in training with Hamon just died out, then everyone would be screwed. Like, everyone would be 100% screwed. Well, not everyone in a sense, I guess. In Diamond is Unbreakable, Kira would keep on killing with no one stopping him whatsoever. In part 5, Diavolo gets the Requiem Arrow. We don't know what exactly he would do with that. He could possibly take over the world. It'd be a pretty ridiculous feat. Part 6, nothing happens. Well, Huh. Well, if you think about it like that, then would it be pretty bad? I think maybe. If Jonathan had lived, a lot of lives are saved at the costs of daughters, mothers, and sisters in Morio, and also at the cost of a lot of people in Italy, but at the same time a possibility of the cost of the world. And say that if they didn't defeat the Pillarmen with the Hamon users that they had, then the Pillarmen would have taken over too. Unless they have some type of Hamon detective agency for Part 4 and Part 5, with everyone having Hermit Purple, then it would be pretty easy to find them, and it wouldn't be that hard because you'd be able to take a picture of where they are in the world or what direction that they need to go to, because the Hermit Purple's a really good stand and pretty much pretty easy. But how would you guys feel if someone had made a manga of this or a story of this? I guess a fan fiction would probably be the best way to say so. Would you guys read it? Personally, it's not me doing it. I wouldn't say that I'm doing it. I think that some people would probably have that type of... Some people would have the ability to do so. There's people that draw, people that have the ideas for it, and all that. Would you guys read that? Would you watch an animation of it? Say that someone like made certain scenarios animated or whatever the heck. I'd watch it in my opinion. What are some other scenarios that you guys have ever thought about? This idea itself was a shower thought to me because it's like, wow, a lot could have been prevented, but then you get a huge different outcome and it's not as good of a story. I honestly, because of Dio drives the plot, and there's so much, like, Dio had done so much for Jojo as a whole. Surprisingly, Dio gives us the bizarre adventure. But if this video made you think about it, honestly, or if you guys liked it, leave a like, subscribe for more of these. I usually do the videos in order of the comment votes, so if there's a comment with a lot of support on it, that's a really good idea, then I'll probably go over it in the video. Like one of the scenarios. Like what's one of the scenarios again that you guys have possibly thought about? Like, oh, what if this happened, or what if this happened? That'd be a pretty good thing, because there's always Jojo could have made huge turns. Like right now, I could talk about well, possibly not now, obviously, because the video is gonna be soon to be over. But there's a huge, like I said, that there's two possibilities. What if Jonathan had killed Dio at the castle? But then there's what if Jonathan had killed Dio at the boat when Dio was taking over, and it was just ending up that Jonathan and Erina actually escaped with the baby, because you know that baby's Lisa, and now how would Lisa change all of this with her being involved? So that's just a thought. Again, same thing that I already said. I mean, everything that I already said, but thank you guys for watching. It really means a lot. I want to say thank you again, but sorry. Peace out though, and Godspeed.